Hello world, I'm Don Emilio Zeno, reaching out to the world to help us resolve this hatred for humankind which has gone way out of control. Please help us spread the word that acts of kindness will eventually eliminate hatred for thy fellow beings. There's only one God. Let us reach out and pray him for the goodness of all.
Don Emilio Zeno is going to be talking about a very serious subject matter having to do with UFOs, ETs, UAPs, call it whatever you want. Some very, very revealing information never before told by anyone. Who's Don Emilio Zeno? He's the UFO Messenger.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Robert DeLesser, and I'm the host of Rob's Inner Circle, broadcasting worldwide. I'd like to thank our international audience for tuning in to what is going to be an excellent show this evening. We have a treat for you, a man who knows all about UFOs. Stand by for a great show. I want to give the usual shout out to our producer, Jenny Duhame, and to the podcast techie on our show, Patty, Lady Starlight Saragosa. We have a few announcements this evening, so let's start off with the birthdays. In the world of actors, we'd like to wish happy birthday to Marlene Barrett, Adria St. Urs, Jennifer Adernino, Mitch Wolanski. Also, film and the television world to Nick Walker, Constantine Cortides, Vincent Donneville, and Katie Combs. For the comedians, there's Natasha G. Filion and Mike Dalkey. Singers and musicians, Adam Zaremba, Gary Redman, Steve Liquid Holly. Also, a happy birthday to photographer April Duhame, and to Double Threat and Survivor, past Rob's Inner Circle, Kathy Mulroy's granddaughter, Leave Morera. So a happy birthday to each and every one of you on behalf of myself and everybody here at Rob's Inner Circle. Be sure to watch Daily Struggles, a sitcom everyone is talking about on the Rise Up TV channel on the Roku streaming service. Download the Roku app on your smart devices, or you can get the Roku stick at Amazon for as little as $30. Make sure you watch all of our productions on the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You want to give us some nice comments, share, and click on the like button. Well, folks, it's that time once again. It's time to sit back, relax, kick up your feet on the edge of the table, have that glass of wine, and let us carry the load. Folks, we have an exciting show for you guys tonight. It's time to bring on our star attraction on Rob's Inner Circle, who is standing by. Folks, it's showtime. Our guest this evening, he's a radio broadcaster, a video producer, and he's a very, very knowledgeable person when it comes to UFOs. Without further ado, help me welcome Mr. Don Emilio Zeno. Don, welcome to Rob's Inner Circle.
Thank you for having me, guys. Sorry, I'm laughing. I wish my wife would give me the same amount of attention after 40 years of marriage.
Well, you know what? I gave that attention after 40 years of 40 minutes of acquaintance, not 40 years.
I want to thank you for having me. It's usually I'm sitting on your side of the fence. Trying to interview people and setting up people, and I've been doing this stuff for a long, long time. But anyways,
so Don, tell us who is Don Emilio Zeno?
Well, first of all, I was born and raised in Montreal, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I thank the Lord. I'm I'm turning 67 on Easter Sunday. How time flies. And my background is one of sales and marketing. I speak 4 languages. I'm fluent in English, French, Italian, and Spanish. So I can communicate quite easily with a lot of people across the world. I've had a very successful career in communications, meaning reaching out to people from all walks of life, and I've met literally thousands of people in my 37 years of self-employment. Enough on the bragging part. I got involved in radio thanks to my mentor, Frank Cavallaro, from his last job with CBC, the weatherman. He's the one that had the connections, because I absolutely wanted, for obvious reasons, to be on radio 15 years ago. And through his connections, we came out with our own show called the VIP Business Talk Show, where I was supposed to be the producer and he the key host. But then, unbeknownst to me, he got a job at CBC, and he quietly told me, Don, I can't do this. It's a conflict of interest. So I'm going to make you go solo. I says, you got to be kidding. And I was a little nervous at first, because I never did live radio, even though the wannabe was there from day one. Anyways, it ended up working out okay for a good 2.5 years, until I found out that the station, which was part of Chorus Entertainment, was going out of business for obvious reasons after 83 years of existence. And one thing led to another, and I just did not want to give up the short-lived radio career. So I dived into internet radio, and I was crazy and courageous enough to do it because it was just commencing. I'm talking about 2010, which was 12 years ago. So I came up with a very zany name, not Zeno, but zany, called the VIP Internet Radio.com, and then we started that off, and I thought that we had to emulate mainstream radio stations, like the soundproof studios, etc., and that was my fault. And I spent I can say it now, this is internet, I spent a shitload of money, which I could have used for other purposes, because I could have done internet radio in my basement, like most grandmas who wake up one morning while knitting and decide they want to be radio stars of some kind. Anyways, been there, done that. I still own the trade name, mark, and domain name, VIPinternetradio.com. I tried to get on board some American partners. It's still there. But because of this COVID, we ran into some turbulence. I might as well be honest with your audience. Anyways, one thing led to another, and then what happened? 2015, when I turned 60 years of age and finished my book, I wrote a 400-page autobiography, 8.5 by 11, which I haven't published yet, but it's written. I discovered that something had to be done, something had to be told, that money was no longer my driving force for some reason. I was starting to think outside the box, and then my childhood inhibitions came out and got the better part of me, meaning I had to pursue my UFO belief system. Wow, UFO. And family and friends thought I had gone crazy at age 60, which was 7 years ago. So what happened, fast forward, I approached MUFON in California, and they told me to start off with MUFON Quebec. They hired me right away. I became a field investigator, director of investigations, blah, blah, blah. And then what happened is that I was compelled to investigate the Montreal Place Bonaventure UFO incident, which I know you were part of, but we'll talk about that.
We'll be getting that in a second. But Don, I have to interrupt you because you talk about 1,000 languages, but there's one language you didn't mention, and I think you're probably fluent in it. Klingon. You speak some Klingon.
No, I don't.
You don't speak Klingon?
No, I don't. But maybe our Neapolitan dialect sounds like English, to most people. But no, I've been linguistically blessed, and I do speak these 4 languages fluently. But anyway, so what happened is that when I was investigating the Montreal, UFO incident, I said to my superior, told me, he says, if you want more information, more precise information, you have to go and see the man himself. I go, what man? A guy by the name of François C. Bourbeau. I said, who the F is he? I didn't know him like a hole in the head. And the fact is that I went up like a courageous young man that I was. And since then, he and I became very close friends and partners. And now we own and operate le réseau OVNI Alerte, the UFO network, UFO Alert Network, which is going to be going very far because very quickly, and I don't want to plug it more than I have to because it would be unfair on my part, it will allow certain comments and facts to be told by our members, which they will not be allowed in mainstream media for sure. And soon enough, if governments get their way, they're going to control what comes out of what we call free speech, will be a thing of the past in social media.
So, Don, I have a few questions to ask you. Let's start off with how you developed your passion for UFOs. Where does this all come from?
Believe it or not, I was, as far back as I can recall, I was 5 years old. I grew up in Ahuntsic, Montreal. I was influenced by the Outer Limits. I was influenced by Lost in Space. I guess I was lost in space. I was influenced by Star Trek. I was influenced by, the black and white TVs of the era. And of course, I developed a love for science fiction, anything that was science fiction. And there was not one night where I would not go to bed without looking up to the skies and search for answers. And you know what? I'm 67 years old in a few days. And let me tell you, I can't go to bed unless I take a peek at the sky and see what's happening out there, looking for answers. And that's how I got involved in my belief system. But I want to take it a step but I'll let you ask the question, because otherwise I can go on and on and on.
Don, tell us about Area 51 in the USA. That's in the Nevada desert, you were saying, right?
Now you're jumping very, very far. I was kind of hoping you wouldn't go there right away, but it's an intelligent question. It's a fair question. It's a very valid question. Because MIC, the military intelligence community, MIC, always look for areas where there's vastness, lots of space, lots of terrain, they can barricade for hundreds and hundreds of miles and control the area. So the Nevada, New Mexico, those areas lend themselves very well for hundreds of years to do their military testing and sophisticated underground and so on and so forth. And it has been rumored that some of the crashed spaceships, and we're going to get into that very, very shortly, could have been reverse engineered in that area as early as 1947 and maybe even earlier than that.
So tell us, Don, why is it that they call it Area 51?
I haven't the foggiest to be, and I want to make, I thank you for asking me that. I want to make a very, very sincere statement. I'm known as the UFO Messenger. I am not a ufologist, even though I am very knowledgeable on UFO, UAP, ET, and the term that the military use, RSO, Resonance Space Objects, I'm very familiar. And I'll be able to elaborate a little more on that as your questions get very apropos. So I need to make that statement. Go ahead.
Okay, the aliens we're used to seeing, those gray men with the long, skinny, thin arms that are stretched with the big head and those big black eyes, is that an accurate representation of what an extraterrestrial looks like? Or are there many forms of extraterrestrials out there?
I have it. I should have been maybe better prepared and shared this with you, but I have a pamphlet which depicts the many, many, many different types of races that have been seen by experiencers, aka abductees, over the last 150 years. And they're just like we humans have different races here on Earth. It is alleged that there are different races, civilizations, what we call off-world civilizations. And this is the time where I need to make an intelligent remark, just in case some people think that this guy is just an ordinary messenger. Here's what we know, all right? The iconic scientists, astronomers, Frank Drake, who incidentally is still alive at age 92 this year. His buddies, Carl Sagan and Stephen Hawking, passed on. They have said publicly over the last 60 years, let's say, or maybe 70 years, that there are billions, B as in Bob, of galaxies in our vast universes, because now they're saying there could be parallel universes, mind-boggling. And within every galaxy, like the Milky Way, we have billions of planets. So what? Well, these scientists have publicly stated that 40% of these planets could sustain some sort of life form. So it would be ludicrous for us to think that we are the only beings in this vast universe, singular.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
And I'll tell you where that comes from. And this is where I'm looking for trouble. You asked me before, Doug, do you ever get nervous when you're doing radio or even TV or been on stage? Never. I don't know what butterflies in the stomach means.
I can tell you all about it.
I just get butterflies when I'm hungry because I love to eat, as you can see. But all kidding aside, is that I believe that the truth has been kept away from us by the cabals. And I'll explain to you for those people that don't know what cabals are. Cabals are like the big bosses, the big leaders, aka plausible wrongdoers in terms of enslaving humanity. And I'll elaborate a little more on that because Houston, we have a serious problem in the world right now, and we need to fix that. And we, the people, are waking up. And that this awareness is what's going to make evolution very plausible, very moving very fast in the next couple of years. Now, the cabals are the ones that tell the 2% of the ultra-rich families that have been here on Earth. I won't mention names, but you probably know who they are. Very rich families, okay, that control the planet Earth in cahoots with the alleged certain types of alien races, which have been rumored, read my lips, rumored to be Draco reptilians that live in underground cities like El Duce, New Mexico, where there's a plethora of stories and incidents that took place which could corroborate such an existence, okay? And these people have enslaved humanity for thousands of years, not in the last 75, Why? Because these people love power. And I'm going to tell you something. If you look around you and you look at the very, very rich people, politicians included, and what do they stand for? They stand for power, or rather money equals power equals sex. Now, I'm not trying to be a dirty old man, but that's what these people live for. Money, power, and sex. And they don't give a rat's ass about very layman people, the majority of the people that are on the face of this earth. They're the ones that create the wars. They're the ones that get an orgasm when people kill each other because they sell more warfare, armaments, petroleum, oil, you name it. They'd rather see 1 million people be buried like animals. Actually, animals are not even buried in that way, than they having to lose power and money, or money and power. It's sad. It really, really is sad, because I, for one, I love humanity. I love life. I, for one, believe, we were discussing this off air so that people get to know me and how fond I am of human beings. I couldn't hurt a dog or a cat if you told me, I'm going to give you $1 million. I want you to shoot that cat or dog. Why? What did the poor creature do to me? Do you understand? That type of thing.
Don, we have a question from KD. Patty, if you can put that up for us, please. Thank you. If there are so many aliens and UFOs, where are they? Why don't they show up?
Because according to, this is a great question, according to my connections, they have a do not interfere, do not disclose agreement with the cabals that run the world, that they do not interfere in these matters. And I'll tell you why. A perfect example, with all due respect now, I was born and raised a Catholic, but I'm a non-practicing religious individual. I'm not practicing. Doesn't mean I don't have spiritual beliefs. It doesn't mean I don't believe in a God. It just means that I don't believe in religions, because the Vatican alone is so powerful. It controls billions of dollars. Here's what I know. And this is probably going to get me in trouble, but who gives a rat's ass? I've lived 3/4 of my life. So if I were to drop dead tomorrow morning, my time came. What can I tell you? So here's what I'm saying. The Vatican, that's right. The Vatican has 1 billion, B as in Bob, followers worldwide. And my knowledge is that these people donate left, right, and center, whether it be through the churches, through good causes belonging to the Vatican. They donate an average of $300 per year. That's $300 billion of tax-free money going through their coffers. They control their own city, the Vatican City. No one, not even the powerful IRS, US of A, can put their nose in that business. No one. And it's been rumored that they, once in a while, do some laundry for, the cabals and what have you, and some of the, not so nice people of the world, and who's going to control them. So, and these Vatican people, if they took 10% of their net worth and decided to do away with poverty and give the world, not even filet mignons, but give the world the basic amenities, free clean water to drink, not even to bathe, just to drink, like you and I take for granted, free room and board, we wouldn't have all these problems. And this is where it just fries my little mind as to why it should be that way. But I think I know the answer, and we'll get into that some other time. Go ahead, please.
So tell us about alien abductions. There have been many accounts. People have been abducted by aliens. And on the most part, the experiences were absolutely horrible. They were horrifying. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that. But at the same time, has anyone come back after an abduction with a new talent or any new knowledge, So let's look at it both sides, a good experience and a bad experience. What do you got to say about that, Don?
Bad experience, I could freely say I have a very good friend of mine. He lives in Laurel, Mississippi. His name is Calvin Parker. Calvin Parker has been abducted with Charles Hickson in way back on October 11, 1973. I remember as if it were yesterday. He had a very bad experience, and it's been corroborated by lie detector tests and so on and so forth that his experience was very, very real. And he was then abducted again in 1993, and he's had a rough life. He's not ashamed to say it. And I know because I've spoken to him many times in the last couple of years that I've known him, and I've met him through Philip Mantle, who's a ufologist from UK. So thank you, Philip, for that. And he wrote a book. They did a documentary on him, and I heard that they're working on something else because I spoke to some of the Hollywood people that he is in contact with. That's all I can say for the time being. So that was not a good experience. And the other good experience was another friend of mine here in Montreal. His name is Florian Costache. He's one of the world's greatest violinists, who's now retired. He's a guy my age. And he was abducted, and he became a child protege at 4 years old playing the violin. Wow. At 11 years old, he directed the Romanian Symphony Orchestra in Budapest. And he developed some skills that were out of this world. And by the way, I believe the UFO that you witnessed, that we'll talk about if we
have coming up. It's coming up.
It's coming up. That you witnessed on November 7th, 1990, Florian Costache was playing there that night. And I'm the one that told him, unbeknownst to me, I said, what a small world. Because the so-called return trips from alien crafts, aka ETs, is like when we tag dolphins and whales and then go out to sea again and try to track them down years later to see what has become of these dolphin and whales. Well, guess what? The ETs do the same thing when they abduct some humans and want to know how they progressed. Or they sometimes have implanted nasal cavities all the way up. Yeah, I know, but apparently it's not as bad as some people have claimed. Now, these are recounts from the late Dr. Johnny Mack, who was a Harvard psychiatrist, Johnny Mack, okay, who had a very terrible death in 1994, which the Pulitzer Prize winner, Ralph Blumenthal, which we interviewed on one of our shows. I might as well plug it. I produced along with Victor Vigiani from CNN News. We produced the files of the Disclosure Agency, FDA, in Toronto. So, I mean, with all these people that I'm surrounded with, why would I even break my head trying to become a ufologist? Because in my world, it takes many, many years of studying and researching and reading and appreciating the study of UFOs, which is called ufology. I couldn't live long enough, even if I had started 20 years ago, because to be a ufologist, which will soon become an accepted science. This is what I know is going to be happening. And you can tell by the way even the MIC and military people and Congress, for example, are slowly, they're called baby steps, trying to come about and reveal bits and pieces, but not all at once. And I'll tell you why not all at once. Because they hold some of the world's above top secrets, which would be letting their arms down, because there has been reverse engineering done
I hope that's not the Klingons calling you, Don.
No, that's probably NORAD calling me. Shut your big mouth. We're going to come and get you in your pajamas tomorrow morning.
We have a question. Actually, I have two questions. The first one, we're going to get back to KD in a second. Francois Bourbois has a question. Patty, if you can put that up for us, please. If she can't find it, then we're going to go to KD's question in the meantime.
Bourbois has a question for me.
Yes.
There, picks up.
Okay, so as more of a statement, he picks up a little on your beliefs.
You see,
I'd rather talk about your...
I knew he would find anything to embarrass me live on net. What Francois is saying, and this is something I adhere, is that the let's call them the flying machines, the UFOs, have a way through their anti-gravity light where they can bend time and space. So in other words, if they have to travel from point A, I don't know in the camera here, point A to point B or Z, the light that is emitted from their spacecraft, let's call it, opens up and it becomes a wormhole, and they're able to go through that wormhole at warp speeds, for lack of better words, and that's how they can traverse from one end of the universe to the other in no time.
Wow.
All right. But Francois also believes, and this is where you come in, because Francois will be talking to you off net, okay, because I've intrigued them about your experience about the Plasma Adventure.
And wait to share that.
Guy, he's the expert. I mean, if I send you to Francois, you're in the greatest hands of all hands.
I can't wait. I can't wait to meet him.
Francois, to be able to dissect what really happened to you on November 7, 1990. His theory is that these crafts can emit a window where if you have three people, like for example, within a reach of a mile, well, guess what? Anybody outside that window will not see the craft because they have that technology where they can show themselves to a certain area or a certain number of people. And of course, some of these people, like Florian Kustash, were contacted telepathically that night on November 7th to go on top of the roof of Plasma Adventure because they were there. And I believe one of the reasons they were there for him because they were tracking him as to what came about of Florian Kustash, who was abducted as a child in his native Budapest, Romania land.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So
it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. And by the way, just to let you know, I've seen UFOs with the night vision supplied by Spy Tech Telecom, who's a friend of mine. Francois knows him as well. His name is Jean. I might as well plug these people because without these people, we wouldn't have the proofs. We've actually seen through this night vision equipment, which is, very expensive. It's not something you pick up at Canadian Tire or Amazon, and you're able to see in the stratosphere, 50,000 miles away, TR-3Bs, delta wings, flying, which you cannot see with the human eyes. We've seen them and we filmed them.
Wow.
So I've seen what we call UFOs. Now, are these UFOs terrestrial? Maybe. Are they reverse engineering? Definitely. And I'll tell you why. I'm expressing a very intelligent comment, just in case Francois is still on with us, is because when the alleged UFOs were downed, 75 years ago, like in Corona and Roswell on July the 7th, 8th, 1947, the Americans sequestered the space and they did reverse engineering, covered it up. And of course, from there, they developed technologies that were leaps and bounds. Because prior to that, I want to go back prior to that, we were still in the horse and buggy era. And aviation only started when the Wright brothers sort of invented it in 1903. And prior to that, we were still in horse and buggies. But get a hold of this. In 1856, there was a man whose book I've read twice. He's my hero. His name is Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla, who invented the alternating current, AC power. But also important, he had told humanity in circa 1900, he says, you know what? We have a magnetic field around the world, which we could use and give us 0.0 energy, where we don't need petroleum. We don't need anything. We can capture that electrical field through wireless. Imagine that. No sockets, none of this stuff. And the banker at the time, J.P. Morgan, and the Westinghouse people says, but you're crazy, Mr. Tesla. How can we make money with this? How can we monetize? So they dropped him like a ball. And of course, he died in January of 1943 at a ripe old age, nonetheless, for the era of 87 years old. But he died penniless. But guess what? The CIA rushed into his hotel room and confiscated all of his papers that he had with him in his hotel room, all the designs, that were kept above top secrets and were reversed engineering for a lot of things. So why am I mentioning all of this? Because again, the MIC, the military intelligence community, do not want anybody to know their secrets. And I can appreciate that. I'm not bad-mouthing them. I'm just calling it as it is, because they will not let their guards down, not with the advent of everything that's happening in the world, okay? And by the way, what's happening in the world, I want to send a message out, a message that was given to me by very reliable sources. Don't worry about nuclear warheads shooting up anytime soon, because with all this Russia-Ukraine invasion and blah, 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 because nobody's that stupid, meaning, the Russians, America, and China, they're not stupid, because it would be easy. But you know what? The ETs would not allow this warhead to take place. And how do I know that? Commander Robert Salas, way back on March 16, 1967, at the Malmstrom Air Base, which is in Montana, they were doing an exercise practice, and they shot up some nuclear silos. And guess what? They pictured UFOs neutralizing the warheads. All this is captured on their videos. So in other words, we're being watched by off-world civilizations. Why? Because it's been rumored, and it's plausible rumors. Keep me this way. I want to see you, D'Alessio. Stop. I know you want to highlight me, but I'm not wearing my mask, so I've got this ugly face that I can't bear to see, but I want to see you. So what the whole story is saying is that the extraterrestrials, the off-world civilizations, are keeping an eye on us because they have an invested interest in planet Earth. Because Mother Earth, Gaia, call it whatever you want, is such a beautiful, precious planet from all points of views. If you think about it, God Almighty gave us this beautiful planet, which we need to conserve and not be selfish. You and I, or I'm going to die within X amount of years, but I've got children, I've got a grandson, and maybe more grandchildren. They need to continue life, because life is very, very precious, and our planet is very precious. So people, need to embrace the fact that we got to stop it with these. Can I use the word freaking? Yeah, because I can.
Yeah, freaking is okay.
Freaking is okay, because I can go the other way, and then you'd shut the video on me.
Now the aliens are going to come and zap you if you say that.
No, they've already tried to abduct me through the window.
Don, can't wait.
They've already tried to abduct me through the window. And they said, "Don, lose some weight. You're too heavy for our tractor beam."
That's why I'm overweight too, because I want to make sure they can't get me in that tractor beam.
That's what they told me. So I've been trying to lose weight. But anyways, back to serious. what I'm saying is that the so-called ETs have an interest. It's also been rumored that ETs have been living amongst us to help us with human evolution and are, so-called hybrids, and you would know it. Do you follow what I'm saying?
So, but Don, I'm sure a lot of people out there tonight, the millions of viewers around the world that are tuning into our show are going to be tuning in afterwards. We're going to get to that question in a second, KD. Hang in there. We're all curious, how is it that aliens communicate with humans? Do they speak our language? Do they have a certain kind of talent that they can reproduce our language? Or is there any other way that they communicate with us?
Well, as far as I know, they use telepathy with our experiencers, which brings up a very interesting point. Experiencers are very, very important to the military people. As a matter of fact, they're more interested in wanting to speak to the experiencers, the abductees, experiencers, the new term, because they want to know, were they ever shown anything? Were they ever told anything, during their abduction process, like Betty and Barney Hill, like the famous book that Francois wrote, that happened on November 24th, 25th, 1979. Mr. X, Francois wrote a bestseller on that in French, and it was a bestseller where it sold over 10,000 copies in a short period of time. These people have had an experience and a half. I mean, yeah, it would be nice. I too would like to see what you saw on November 7th, 1990. But on the other hand, I would not want to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and see a 9-foot tall a Draco reptilian or a praying mantis next to my bed with a tail, with a big tail and big claws, because I would probably die right there and then, even though I thought I was ugly, but they're even uglier. You know what I'm saying? So I don't hear you. You're on mute. Try me again.
It's the aliens' fault. It's not me.
Yeah.
I wanted to get to that question that KD, who's a very active member of our audience tonight. Thank you so much, KD. And
KD, I want to answer your question. I'm just seeing it right now. KD, I want to answer. Yeah, there are, like in any races, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly in life itself. So there are good aliens. They're not. They have a do not intervene yet. But if what I've been told by some sources that are way in there, if ever they do decide, it's going to be a sort of something like what was that movie called there? The Day the Earth Stood Still. All these movies, because a lot of truth is beset through Hollywood. Like they prepare you for what's to come. Through Hollywood, for example. Okay, I mean, picture a mother ship like the one you saw over Place Bonaventure, where a major mothership would be all over every major city in the world. I mean, forgive the expression, a lot of people would probably die of fright. There's so many things that you would have to consider. Seriously, I would not be afraid, because this has become second nature for me. I mean, forgetting the fact that I wouldn't want to wake up in the middle of the night and see a Draco reptilian next to my bed staring at me. That part I can do without. But if I saw, what you saw, I wouldn't be afraid. I wouldn't, honestly. As a matter of fact, knowing who I am and what I have, if they ever landed in a field, I would walk towards the light and not be afraid. I wouldn't step on the gas and run away. Believe me, I wouldn't.
Don, do you want me to share with you and the audience what my experience was, my personal experience with the encounter with the UFO? So let's go back to November 7th, 1990. I'm 3 years in my career as a city bus driver at South Shore Transit. That's off the island of Montreal. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the bus number 45 that goes across the Champlain Bridge from Panama Terminus that goes to Place Bonaventure. So I'm on the Bonaventure Outer Route, and as I'm approaching Place Bonaventure, where our terminal is, I see this huge amount of light, extremely bright, and then I go, oh, they're probably shooting a movie again, you know. And there was some traffic because I was getting closer and closer. I started to realize that this light is an unusual light. It's just like too bright. It's different. So I became a little curious. So I started looking up and all that. No, folks, I'm not on drugs. I actually experienced this. It's documented. It's on YouTube. You can go check it out. OVNI, Place Bonaventure. There's a documentary that was shot on it. I was there and I saw that. So I take a look and I saw this humongous mothership, like you said. It was right over Place Bonaventure. Very, very bright lights. I saw it was like metallic. Probably saw some aluminum. It was like the size maybe of 5 football fields. I mean, this thing was absolutely humongous. And I was intimidated. I was scared.
I would have loved to. Honestly, I envy you there.
Oh my God. Well,
I mean,
you know what? I didn't envy myself because I had to drop off these people. I can't pull a U-turn or anything. I'm stuck. I got to go that way. And I'm right under this spaceship. And I end up going and, to the terminal and dropping off the people. I shut off the bus, shut off all the lights. I don't want to get caught on a tractor beam, being pulled up or something. I was even too scared to call my dispatcher to tell him about it because he would have thought I was nuts.
So but nowadays, people are way more educated. They're slowly opening up. I know that I intercepted on December 13th, 2018. Yeah, that was 4 years ago soon this year. Is that correct? Yeah, if I do my math right. I intercepted a call that was destined for François Bourbeau because his English is not the greatest, although it was for him. So I intercepted the call. And what happened, there was a major from Cheyenne Mountain J36 NORAD. And you can look this up. Anybody who thinks that this is hogwash, J36 Cheyenne Mountain NORAD does exist. It's in Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado. It's 36 levels. Actually, it's 60 levels down. And J36 is level 36.
Oh, wow.
And see, it says, François Bourbeau, you read, faudra se parler, Robert, de votre observation le 7 novembre. Car je possède un très complet dossier, of course.
François Bourbeau, j'accepte l'invitation. Ça va me faire plaisir de parler avec vous. For those of you who don't understand French, that's François Bourbeau, who is asking me to be a guest on one of his shows.
He's going to interview you in private.
Exactly.
And then put you on camera if you so decide to go
public
with your story. Blah, blah, blah. But anyways, so the major wanted to share the story, which I've now since then, with, hiding the names and so on and so forth to protect, these people. Otherwise, they may decide not to share any more information with us. And he wanted to report to us that the morning of December 13th, 2018, which was right after the TikTok Tic Tac incident, which was December 17, 2017, the year before, which happened, with the the story there off the frigate. So what happened? He says, Don, we want to report some flash traffic over Bay James, south by southeast, all the way to Montreal East. It traversed 836 miles in 2 minutes and 12 seconds. That is Mach 31.
That's 30 times
the speed of sound.
Wow.
Yeah, and he told us that, and I was all excited. And like I told François, that night, I can say it now and chuckle, but it wasn't funny. I got scared. That night, I couldn't fall asleep. I went to bed at about 11 o'clock when I got home, and I fell asleep. 1:30 in the morning, I was awakened by a chopper sound of a Huey helicopter. I get up. My wife goes, "What's that?" No, nothing. Just go back to sleep. I look through the
They're
window,
looking for me.
and there was at 1,000 feet a Huey helicopter hovering at 1,000 feet over my house, and then went over to Borbo's house. And those were the Canadian Armed Forces telling us, guys, watch how you treat this information because we know where you live.
Oh.
And I honestly, I couldn't sleep. I had a hard time sleeping. I had a hard time sleeping that night because I said, oh my God, did I get myself into a little bit of trouble? But no, they just wanted from time to time, it's their way of sharing some information. But hang on, I need to say this. This is my personal belief. I know there's a lot of ufologists are going to call me all kinds of names and say they're stupid, or better still, let's shoot the messenger. No, let me tell you, there's a lot of competition in the world of ufology because everybody thinks that they want to be the Jesus Christ to save the planet. But I keep telling them, you know what they did to poor Jesus Christ 2,500 years ago when he tried to save the planet. So guys, work as a team and, don't try to be the Han Solo, just work as a team, and that will be a lot better for humanity. But the fact is, you got to be careful how you give the information, how you spread the information, because there's a lot of people out there that are very, very afraid of the subject matter. I know that my wife is one of them. She doesn't want me to talk about UFOs or ETs or any of this stuff at all. She goes, you're tired, go to bed and forget about it and get up tomorrow morning and find yourself a job, because that's the joke that goes on. She says, you never worked a day in your life and now you want to, blah, blah, blah. But that's basically,
Going back to Mach 31, when I finish work, that's about the speed it takes me to get out of there and get home. So I'm familiar with that. I can't wait to get home. Like I really fly right back here at the speed of light. I have a question for you, Don.
Yeah.
NORAD, of all people, the organization NORAD contacted you.
They contacted François C. Bourbeau. Okay. And as a matter of fact, when I heard the NORAD people, I thought it was a joke, a prank. I said, why would they contact Bourbeau? Apparently, they've known of him for the last 30 years.
Oh.
I can proudly say, and this is why, make no mistake, I've invested some serious money in our organization called Réseau OVNI Alerte. Right, that's correct. Mark 31, 36,000, 973. We have Mrs. Spock there, Jenny Duhane, who's coming out with the science facts.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Yep. So thank you for that, Jenny. So the fact is that a lot of people don't want to hear that stuff. They cannot think outside the box because we've been trained since childhood. And get a hold of this, okay? And now I'm going to lead to something very, very important because, Jenny, it's almost that time where we need to end the show because I can go on and on and on and on. And then Jenny would not like it.
I got some great news for you. We have gotten some permission to extend the show maybe 15, 20 more minutes. So it can go an hour 20 maximum.
Okay, I want to finish off with this. So the fact is that a lot of people are scared of the subject matters. We've been trained since childhood to, go to school, get an education, be the best that you can be, make lots of money, buy a very expensive home, very expensive cars, live a very expensive lifestyle. I'm sorry, folks. I really, truly am sorry. There's nothing wrong with that. But remember, the cabals, and you have different sectors of the cabals. You have the banking cartels. You have the pharmaceutical big pharma cartels. You have the political cartels. They all want to indebt us in order to enslave us. because we're easier to handle when we're stuck to our yin-yangs with debt. And why? Because they can easily come when a person has no debts and has no assets in his or her name. Well, guess what? They don't like people like that. They've given names for people like that, persona non grata. But anyways, be as it may. What I'm saying this is because I want to bring up Vladimir Putin. Now, folks, if you're listening to this here podcast, please understand my heart bleeds for the Ukrainian losses. Why? Because I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a grandfather, a new grandfather. Life is precious. What's happening there is wrong. But I would so much like if the mainstream media bitches, bitches, that's right, you heard it, bitches, would allow a guy like Putin his chance to explain to the world why he's invaded Ukraine. They won't give him that chance.
And
we have plausible hypotheses as to why he's invading Ukraine. There are many hypotheses which make sense. Like, for example, I'll just tease you with one little one. If the big bullies, all right, came around your house and pointed warfares like, bazookas and grenades and bombs all around your house, would you not defend yourself? Would you not go out there and say,
obviously, yes,
hey, what are you doing? This is my property. You're pointing guns and armaments that could hurt Russia. Wouldn't you do that? So that's one of the theories, but there's many, many more. Now, based on the rumors that Putin is not well, who's, 70, 71 years young, he's a couple of years older than me, 4 or 5 years older than me. He's not well. He's got cancer. These are rumors, and I haven't started them. I'm just repeating what I heard.
I've heard those.
Messenger, okay? Putin is not afraid of anyone at all.
That's pretty obvious.
At all. I know because anyways, we'll leave it at that. There's certain things I cannot repeat, even as the messenger. If Putin decides that his days are over, it's finished, and they want to corner him and make him die like a dog, he could very well open his mouth and tell the world what he knows about the ET, UAP, UFO, RSO truth of how.
Don, for the sake of the audience, you're giving us these abbreviations. Can you tell us what UAP are and what
ET
happens?
is extra-terrestrial.
Yeah, of course.
UAP is unidentified aerial phenomenon. UFO is the archaic, nomenclature, UFO, unidentified flying objects, and RSO is the military term for resident space objects, anything that comes from outer space, resident space objects. Fair enough? So Putin, if cornered, could very well threaten the world by saying, I'm going to disclose what we know about ETs and how we used reverse engineering to advance this much in 120 years, because like I said, prior to 1900 we were still on the horse and buggies. How did we advance so fast? I mean, humans, you've got some intelligent people out there, but we've gotten help because we were still in the Stone Ages and blah, blah, blah. We've gotten help in the last 120 years.
Exactly.
Okay. So what I call and by the way, I want to send a message, a very important message. Humanity needs to stop with this war mongering. I'll break your head. You know who I am. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And convoys and doing this and holding people hostage. If you're not happy with your governments, get together with a major law law firm in Canada or States, whatever, put the money in trust, okay, and have a major class action lawsuit against your government saying, we're not happy the way you're treating, humanity, and we're not happy where you're spending trillions of dollars every year. I'm talking about the big boys, not necessarily Canada, giving all that money to buy bombs and to hurt people and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? People are scared. You know why they're scared? Because they're so busy. They're so ingrained into wanting to get rich, be the best that they can be. I mean, and on and on and on. I mean, it's easy for an old fart like me to talk because I've had the best years of my life gone by. But do you need a $10,000 watch to tell the time? Do you need a $500,000 car to go from, point A to point Z? No, you don't. It's all gluttonous. Do you need to eat filet mignon every day? No, because it's going to kill you. I don't care who you are. You can't eat that shit every day because you'll die from it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's where humanity has a problem. But you know what? People will listen to an old fart like me and say, "Il est rendu fou, es loco, uscito pazzo." I'm showing off my different languages. You understand?
My patriotism, Don, my patriotism is eating me up. I just have to share this with the audience. We were talking a couple of days ago, and you told me about the Avro project, that it was something so extremely advanced that Diefenbaker, who was the prime minister at the time,
he had to do away. He had to scrap the thing.
Tell us about that.
Okay, way back in the 50s, we had the best fighter jet in the world called from what I remember, the Avro Arrow. There was a whole story. As a matter of fact, they made a movie out of it, which I loved it. I'm going to watch it again for the 20th time since it came out. And the Avro was the greatest fighter jet. But guess what? When Uncle Sam came along and told Diefenbaker, get rid of that, or else we're not going to allow you to embarrass something like that, embarrass US of A, because we're the number one country in the world. And in terms of firepower, they still are. They are the number one. They spend trillions of dollars per year on their black budgets. And let me tell you something. This came about, a Concordia, when the States came in to save, with some help from, the English, the UK, during the Second World War to defeat Hitler. They made a Concordia. They say, from now on, Europe, the world, we're the big bosses. Because, and I'm not trying to be bad, because America's been very good to me. They're the ones that made me fat and sassy money-wise at the time. Otherwise, I would have been very slim, like most of you guys. But the fact is, America, like any country, like anyone, will not do anything for free. This word, land of the free, forget it. It's just,
Isn't that in their national anthem, the land of the free?
I don't want to go there because I have a lot of friends in America.
So do I. Hey, hello to all Americans tuning in. We love you.
And which brings up a point. So they told Trudeau recently, they said, you know what? You're going to change your F-18s, warplanes, because they're obsolete. You're going to buy F-35s, the new stealth ones, for $70-80 million each, which is not expensive, because
it's a bargain, right?
It's a bargain.
That's nothing.
And there's so many of them. Why? Because you are guarding our northern skies. Very important. That's how they came out with NORAD 60, 70 years ago, North American Air Defense, in order to guard the northern skies. And it's very important. And I respect that. I do. I respect that. Where I don't respect is any country that's directly involved in biological warfares, like anything that could kill you, poison waters, let's not go there, COVID, whatever, I just can't understand why we need to go there. You want to have armaments to defend yourself, that's one thing. But armaments of mass destruction like warheads, nuclear warheads, biological warfares, I'm sorry, I don't buy that. Okay.
John,
By the way,
yeah.
I just want to render kudos to the very late Paul T. Hellyer. He was the Minister of Defense for Canada during the Saint Laurent, Diefenbaker, if I recall my history, Trudeau, 50s and 60s, and then left. He died last year on August 7th, 8th, at 98 years young.
Wow.
He wrote 16 books.
Wow.
I bought one of his books recently. I read it twice. And he said in his book, now get a hold of this, maybe this is not the appropriate show to show you how corrupt politics and the world powers are to make anything and anybody believe. He said in his book, 9/11, where apparently the Israelis and the Americans had their hands in the making of 9/11. The Israelis and the Americans. He wrote it in his book. I had to read it often.
You know, that's very, very controversial. Yeah, you have a lot of conspiracy theories.
No, but this came from the man himself who was an ex-minister of defense. And guess what? It probably explains, because I was invited to attend his funeral remotely, not remote viewing, not that kind of remote viewing, but remotely. And there were no dignitaries from the military nor the Canadian governments to render a last goodbye to a great man. He was a great man. He's one of my heroes along with Tesla. But what do I know? I'm just a messenger. Now, if they want to shoot the messenger, well, guess what? No more messages.
Well, I thought they shot the sheriff. No, that's Eric Clark.
Yeah. Who shot the sheriff? Yeah.
You were saying when we had a previous conversation that the light emitted from UFOs, there's so much benefits in there, it could actually cure cancer.
Bourbeau is an utmost expert on that hypothesis, which could become soon a theory. The light emitted from the UFOs, okay, that are controlled by the ETs, let's say, not obviously not anybody like me, could actually cure certain types of diseases. It could actually operate. For example, somebody who has to go in for a quadruple bypass, you go there, you lie down, they keep you comfortable. 7 seconds, the light would go through, zap, 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 zap. You get up and go about your business. You're done. They could, instead of cutting you up like a guinea pig and opening your thorax, like an autopsy form.
Okay, so why then?
What's that?
Why then, if we have this technology that is available to us, why are we not being allowed to use this?
Because the cabals, Big Pharma, they make trillions of dollars. It's no longer billions, but trillions of dollars with their pharmaceutical powerhouse. Okay. And the fact is, rumors now that, rumors, but they're plausible rumors, that they would like to find ways to depopulate humanity because we've surpassed 8 billion right now. And you know what I say to that? Life is so precious. You have to educate certain cultures, and I'm going to keep it at that because I'm just going to make enemies and I don't need more enemies. Certain cultures that, everybody loves sex, but have sex responsibly. Don't put kids into this world like a cat litter or a bunny litter or a dog litter. If you put kids into this world, make sure, without spoiling them, that you can give them the love, the affection, and the basic amenities that kids deserve. Because there's nothing more precious than a human life. And I want to make a statement, if any of my enemies are listening. never once in the last 40 years of my existence where I've made a few enemies because, I don't want to talk to him. She doesn't want to talk to me. I've disowned him. He's disowned me. Never once did I curse them. I just don't want to see them again. But I did not curse them. I wish them well. And they know, if they're probably listening to me, there's no money in the world that could ever buy back the friendship that they've betrayed, the way I see it. Do you follow? And if I've done something wrong and they've disowned me, well, guess what? I deserve it. I deserve it. That's the type of guy that I am. I'm all about fairness. And guess what? Bourbeau is the same way. And by the way, allow me to free plug ovnialerte.ca is going to be a perfectly bilingual website that's coming out.
Awesome.
We've been promised by our webmaster in a couple of weeks. We're going to allow free speech to our members, and they cannot hack our website based on the security process we have in place. And not because right now they're thinking of controlling even more the Facebooks of the world, and that's not fair. And a message for Zuckerberg is as follows: you piece of crap, you piece of crap. You used our people traffic 12 years ago to make yourself very, very rich, and now you're controlling us as to what we say, what we can do, because you want us to pay more money.
Don, I'm going to tell you something.
That's not fair.
This is my take on it. I'm pretty sure that Mr. Zuckerberg is not the one running the show. There's someone behind him running the show.
Oh, absolutely. Look about
it's not him.
Bill. I mean, listen. If you work for the crime syndicate, you're as criminal as they are. When the FBI, CIA, what have you, come and gets you, hey, you work for them, you're under arrest. We don't care who the big boss is. Actually, come in, we'll make you talk. We'd like to know the big boss.
Don, I want the show to get even a little bit more controversial. Let's bring in the Illuminati. Who are the Illuminati?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I think these are spin-offs from the Freemasons all the way in the biblical eras. That's all I know. But these are secret societies where, they have allegedly the very rich and powerful. It is my belief, but then, some people accuse me of being conspiratorial. But and keep me this way. I want to see you, because I don't hear you. I don't hear you right now.
Don, I understand it's irking you. I can't explain now, but off air, I'll tell you there is a reason why we are changing the camera angles.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm going to tell you off air.
Yeah, because
there's a reason why we do this on our show.
As believe it or not, I used to be a model many, many years ago. I used to love modeling. But now in my old age, I don't even want to look in the mirror. It scares me. That's why
you're a handsome guy.
That's why I wear a mask, because I'm uglier than I think.
So you don't really look like that. Is that it?
Anyways, so what I was trying to tell you is that there's a serious message to veiculate out there, in terms that we humans are the ones that need to make these changes. Did you know that thought is telepathic? If we had 1 billion people, one B as in Bob, 1 billion people who took a specific day, let's say on my birthday, I'm just trying to be funny, but we all thought out together, it took 10 seconds and said, ETs or God or whatever you want to call it, extraterrestrials are not necessarily gray men, could be angels, could be this, could be that, extraterrestrials, not of this earth. We need your help now. 1 billion people altogether, that would send a very powerful magnetic thought wave to the people out there. And believe me, they would hear us and intervene. You know what the problem is? People are too busy worrying about, oh, how can I make more money? Oh, I've got taxes to pay, because they tax you to death all over the place. Why? And then to think that, and that's another thing, I take this opportunity that to say that we're 80%, let's say 80% of the world population, unfortunately, don't have a pot to piss in. 80% of the world population. Therefore, they don't pay taxes at all, basically. And then you have 5%. Are you still there with me?
I am still there. No, the aliens have not abducted me.
No, I just want to make sure, because I don't like talking to thin air. But 5% of the world population earn $250,000 and way more. The sky is the limit per year. And they find ways through tax havens, loopholes which are created for the rich people, blah, blah, blah. So they pay very little to no taxes. It's a fact. I'm not fiction. Guess who's stuck paying taxes? The 15% of people that earn between 50,000 and let's say 150,000 average per person. They're the ones that are stuck paying taxes. And the middle class, which is soon will be non-existing, it's beyond me. And the very rich people, they have master servant in mind. Well, guess what? Old farts like me don't make very good servants anymore. I used to, but not anymore because I've lightened up. And you know what? In order to stay free of slavery, you got to be smarter than the system. And I caught on 7 years ago. And I'm not just saying this. Believe me, I'm not saying this. I mean, don't get me wrong. And if I ever win a lottery, watch what I'm going to do for humanity. Watch what they'll probably kill me by then because I'll have the money to do it and I'm going to be ruining their operation.
We wouldn't want Don. That is too valuable to us. And to go back to what you were saying, Don, you know, when you're saying all these collective thoughts getting together in the universe, a billion people, well, that just boils down to the power of prayer. It's a form of prayer, if you want.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And believe me, I've prayed. I mean, it's, one thing to believe in off-world civilizations, but at the end of it all, there is one almighty being, call him God, call him Twila, call him a Hilog, Hola, whatever. But that's what it boils down to.
How about the Vatican? You were telling me they have an observatory that can really, really see far away, but the name of that powerful telescope they have is very, very interesting. What is the name of that?
You can look that up. I couldn't believe it when I learned about that.
Folks, listen to this. The Vatican.
Lucifer.
It is. Okay, that is the name of the telescope?
Yeah.
And how strong is this telescope?
Oh, it's one of the best in the world, after the Arecibo and the SETI search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Well, let us not forget, if we go into the Bible a little bit, the name Lucifer in itself is not bad, because this is when Lucifer actually means shining star. He was God's most powerful angel, and he was side by side with him. So before he turned to the dark side, his name was Lucifer.
Yeah. From what I remember, I mean, it's, yeah. But I mean, listen, I respect human beings for, the fact that they're human beings, and what they believe in does not interfere with my respect for them, because what I believe in and what I practice and preach doesn't mean that I hold the truth. Doesn't mean that I'm necessarily correct. It's what I believe in. And some people will say, well, Don Emilio Zeno, you're full of shit. You don't know what you're saying. Well, no, I'm repeating things that I hear on a daily basis because I am the messenger. And I'm the best positioned messenger because I'm multilinguistic and I can express myself quite nicely in 4 different languages. And it is what it is.
Dan, we're drawing to the end of the show over here. We have an observation from KD once again. Pat, if you can put that up. Okay, there we go. In the near future, the smart people will return to natural lifestyle until the system is restored. What do you think of that?
I think that that's what it should be. Again, I mean, I've realized through the thick and thin that I don't need a $10,000 watch to tell the time. I don't need a $500,000 car to be stuck in traffic and have it rust just like my $15,000 vehicle does, you know. And at my age, I don't need to chase young women. I'd rather chase UFOs because they're cheaper and safer.
And they also are a lot less expensive.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're cheaper and safer than chasing women at my age. So,
and you can get in less trouble too.
Agreed.
Don, tell me, we're going to have to close off the show over here, unfortunately, but tell me your closing thoughts. Tell us of all the resources available. You have OVNI, your
OVNI Alert, Réseau OVNI Alert.
Okay, and people who are very interested in the UFOs and extraterrestrials, which YouTube videos or any kind of resources do you recommend?
Well, they could just do their own research. There are literally millions of UFO ET related matters on YouTube. I mean, it's mind-boggling. But the fact is that soon enough, there will be certain revelations that will make us believe that we're getting closer to some sort of truth disclosure.
Don, I thank you so much for being on our show. Listen, you're gonna have to come back, and I'm looking forward to meeting Mr. Bourbeau. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, and you know what? We could probably have a part 2 at one time. Who knows?
It could be nice. Also, people should be able to listen into the files of the Disclosure Agency on Spotify, which I've helped co-produce with Victor Vigiani, CNN News from Toronto. Interesting guest speakers there. By the way, Victor, who's become a good friend of mine over the years, he's also the Canadian arm of ICER, the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research.
Very interesting.
Dr. Roberto Pinotti from San Marino, Italia. San Marino. I've spoken to Dr. Roberto Pinotti and for a long, long time, and he's very, very, very knowledgeable. And they listen, with all these pressures being put eventually, if not during our lifetime, but in the next 50 years, something's going to give, because they can't keep secrets forever.
Don, thank you so much. I'll let you say goodbye to your beautiful audience that tuned in tonight.
Thank you, guys. I hope I didn't overshoot the runway, but
Don, stay where you are. We're going to have our meet and greet at the end of the show as I'm closing it off. I'll be with you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
There you go. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. That was our guest this evening, Don Emilio Zeno. He is a UFO enthusiast. He knows a lot about UFOs. He's also a broadcaster. He works in film and on radio as well. This upcoming Wednesday at noon hour Out of the Box, our producer Jenny Duhame will be making her debut as a broadcaster, and she'll be filling in for my co-host Esther Brzezinski. Our topic is going to be an extended version of today's show because why not? The story doesn't end here. We will be speaking with UFO man Michel Deschamps. You can watch the broadcast on the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel and the Esther Brzezinski's YouTube channel called Esther's Breeze, and you can also watch it on my personal Facebook page. Noon Hour Out of the Box airs our extended versions on Saturdays on accessradio.ca. That's Access, AXIS radio.ca. That's between noon and 3 p.m. Next week, Rob's Inner Circle will be taking a short break, but we will be returning the following week when we're going to be having casting director Rosina Bucci. Thank you to everyone for tuning in to what was an amazing show, a little controversial, but a lot of fun. And we're going to be seeing you in 2 weeks' time. In the meantime, God bless and happy Easter. Ciao now.